4 miles. Turn right on road. Turn right on road.
Just got to the Kennedy Space Center.
Mostly.
Here we are, all entered. Got the launch today. At about 6 o'clock, I think, or 6:30.
Ticket there.
They drive you around, they're going to show you some of the sites, and they're going to drop you off at Saturn Place. So we'll give you time to see that. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
But John was persistent and patient, and he eventually retired from the Marines, and he went into volunteer to the selection center from Ohio. And finally, when he was 77 and Nash was 90, he got his second riding place in the back of the truck.
Miles, and he went downrange 302 miles, and he did it on May 5th, 1961 in that little tiny capsule right up there. Okay, so if you will, look down at the bottom. Of course, that is called the Mercury Redstone rocket. Now at the bottom there, you see that red pointed thing there? That is called the Flame Deflect building, but now they've changed it. It's a vehicle assembly building. They must have caught somebody putting something together horizontally in there or something, so now they got it the vehicle assembly building.
You will learn more about the launch of SLS when we get to the launch pad.
Alright, so there it is. That is the world's tallest single-story building. Now you notice I'm saying single-story building because you can stand on the bottom floor and look all the way to the ceiling. There are no floors in there. And I promise you it is 525 feet tall. Even though you look at it, you say, well, it doesn't look all that tall because basically there's no buildings around to scale it by. So it's just sitting out there like a sore thumb. Also, that flag on the side, that's the world's largest hand-painted flag. And when it started out, it wasn't going to be a hand-painted flag, but that blue part up there where the stars are, they started painting that, spray painting it, and by noontime they come down and realized they had painted half the cars in the parking lot, so they decided it's going to have to be hand-painted and with a roller. So that's how that got to be the largest hand-painted flag in the world. Now the blue part of the flag where the stars are, that's as large as the NBA basketball court. And also the stars themselves are 6 feet apart, point to point. And the red stripes, they say I can take this bus and drive it right up one of those red stripes and not have to worry about going off into the white part. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to do that today, okay? We'll do that for some other day. I hate doing that because I get vertigo every time. And that NASA ball up there, that's the largest NASA ball in the world. Also, that is also on the very top up there. You can put the old New York Yankee Stadium up there and still have an acre left over for parking. It's also it's number 6 by volume right now. It used to be number 1 by volume. But just to give you an idea, if you could take it apart and put it back together again on the inside of the building, you could put almost 4 Empire State Buildings in there. This was built by the Marion Power Shovel Company back in Marion, Ohio in the 60s, and there's 2 of them in the world, and we have both of them right here. Now, you see the cubicle over there, that's where the operator sits, and he's going to operate the machine. You see the 4 large stacks there? Those 4 large stacks, there's 4 more over on the other side. Now, this thing here, it has 2 gigantic diesel engines in there. They're 2,750 horsepower each, and they are what powers the generators in there. And the generators actually are what powers the electric motors. See the electric motors between the tracks? There's 2 sets in the front, 2 in the back, and those are 375 horsepower, and the generators are 1,074 horsepower apiece. So actually those motors, those electric motors, are what really rotate the tracks. Now, whenever they were going to move it, if the operator got in that cubicle over on the other side, he would take it and put it direct and go that way. However, if he wanted to go the other way, he had to get out of there and follow that yellow railing all the way over here to this other one in the front. Pray to God that he remembered to put that other side in neutral, put this out of neutral into direct, and then he could go this way, because there is no reverse in those things. Now this to the right, this is a gantry. I call the gantry. This is where they will. Some of the people that have paid extra for their tickets, this is where they will be watching the launch at this afternoon, right there. All right, so let me tell you about this crawler transporter. This crawler transporter, it's definitely not the speedest apart piece by piece, because that's called the rotating service structure. They don't need that any longer, because what that used to do when they brought the shuttle up there, it would hug the shuttle and hold it there the whole time and protect it the whole time that it was up there till launch time. Now they're not going to need that any longer. Now, if you see this building they built, when I was working there, I saw them laying out this building. I said, man, they're building this building right on the crawler way. So if they build it on a crawler way, they can't use the crawler, right? So what they did is they're building the rocket on top of a set of rails. And they've got rails, they built rails going right up to the launch pad. Now just as soon as I make this corner, and also you can notice they are building this rocket horizontally instead of vertically. You see the railroad tracks going up there to it? Now you got to remember, everything to the left of the fixed service structure, which is the gray part, all comes down. And what they're going to do is they're going to heighten that fixed service structure where the lightning arrestor is. They're going to heighten that by 30%. It's going to be back up there where it was whenever they were launching the Apollo from there. And once they've got that, there's that crane that's sitting right up there. It looks like they've moved it. And it's a white crane, and what they're going to do is set it right up there on the top. Once they roll the rocket up there to the launch pad, that crane will literally pick that rocket right straight up, set it horizontally, right about where that white part is, straight up and down. That's just above the launch pad itself. Now, if you look at that water tower, at the very top, that thing holds 300,000 gallons and another 100,000 on the pipe going down and over to the launch pad. Now, whenever they're doing countdown, when they get down to about 30, they would go ahead and release all 400,000 gallons of water in 35 seconds. And the reason they did that had nothing to do with the heat. It all had to do with the sound. Because the sound is what caused vibrations. And vibrations are what would make things come loose. And when they came loose, they would go flying, and they needed to protect the shuttle on liftoff. So that's why that took place. Now you see this fence? And I told you I worked out here for 2 years. You see this fence, how it's built, curved out like that? That's supposed to keep out all the alligators. I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work, because every month and a half I'd have to call them. And what they do, and they have out there, is these huge retention areas, and they're all built with concrete, and then they're rubber lined so that they can preserve the water for the water tower. And these alligators, they'll come in, they'll get in those things, and they cannot get out. So we have to have this guy shows up, and here he is with flip-flops on and short pants, tank top shirt, and he just wallers out there and goes and gets the alligator and brings him back, and he puts him in his beat-up old Jeep and takes off. Takes him out here and puts him someplace, and he says, I'll see you again in 30 days. Because that's about the long and the short of it. Now, to my right over there, see, those are the 4 active launch pads. This one with the 4 lightning arresters on it, that's where they're going to launch the Atlas from this afternoon. The first one with the 4 right there. See the L-shaped thing there? They just built that L-shaped thing. They're going to be using that for when they use the Starliner capsule, and that's so the astronauts can get up and get into the Starliner capsule above the rocket itself. Now down there farther where you see the 3 lightning arresters, that's where they launched the Falcon 9 rocket from, and that's where it blew up on the pad right there in the very center one. That's where it blew up. And very down farther, the other one, that's launch pad 37, and that is where they launch the Delta rockets from, the heavy Deltas from. So that's 37, 40, and 41. Now they launched from those 3 launch pads last year. They launched 17 rockets from there, and this year they're pushing real hard to get at least 20. About high, you can see a little bit of the ocean, but then like we come down here, you can see the ocean all the way down just about. You'd never see that when the foliage was up, and so I don't imagine that'll all be back until probably next year, around April, I guess. Okay, I'm going to stop with the rotating service structure. I would encourage you to take a picture of that, because that fixed structure in a rotating service structure, once that rotating service structure is gone, that's the end of anything on a launch pad that has anything to do with the shuttle. It'll all be gone. North end of that 450-foot trench I told you that was underneath it where the flames came out, that's the north end of it, because right underneath the rotating service structure, that there's an inverted V, and that inverted V causes half to go to the south and the other half to go to the north of the flame whenever it's on liftoff. Everybody got their picture? I'm up and away.
How are we doing, John?
You got it?
Pad 39B. Built as an identical pad to 39A for the Apollo Saturn V rocket, Pad B was also updated for the Space Shuttle program. 53 shuttle missions launched from this pad, including 12 missions to help construct or resupply the space station. Today, the pad is being modified for the Space Launch System, or SLS. It will be used for NASA's deep space missions beyond Earth orbit, including the capture of an asteroid and, eventually, human exploration of Mars. 3 600-foot-tall masts were built near the pad to provide lightning protection to the vehicles prior to launch. Both the fixed service structure and rotating service structure that were built for the shuttle have been removed, making it more flexible and able to support many different launch vehicles. Below the pad is a 4-story facility that houses the infrastructure needed for launch, including power, hydraulics, and water. Several miles of outdated wiring and cables have been removed and replaced with high-speed fiber optics. The first SLS mission carrying a crew aboard the Orion spacecraft is set to launch on a 3-week trip to orbit the moon to demonstrate the capabilities necessary for NASA to conduct an asteroid retrieval mission.
Alright, that's where it's all going to happen right there, folks. This is 39B. This is where they're going to launch the Orion capsule going up to Mars. You see the pedestal sitting up on the launch pad up there? That's where that mobile launcher, you see the VAB from here, then just to the right of it, that's the mobile launcher. We'll be going by it here in a little bit. But that mobile launcher will be right up on top of those pedestals up there, sitting on there, and it'll have the SLS on it, and then it'll have the Orion capsule on it. And that's where it will be launched from. Now what they've done is, this used to look just like 39A. What they've done is they've modified this, and this is what they call a clean pad design. A clean pad design is for other companies that would like to get involved in the space program. They have a place now that they can come and launch their rockets at. Before, when we were launching the Mercury Redstone rocket, every time we built a rocket, we had to go build a launch pad for it. That's why we have so many launch pads. Then somebody came up with the idea of the mobile launch platform with the crawler transporter, and that solved that problem where we retrofitted everything to the mobile launch platform, and then we could launch our vehicles from there. And we narrowed it down to the 2 launch pads, 39A and B. There were some across the way over on the other side over there, laying right in the side over there. Yeah, there's two of them over there now. See if you see any more here. Yeah, there's two of them over there. I see there's two. Last time, see them laying right up there? There they are. Now if you look straight across from right where this window is, straight across on the other bank, there's one sitting right in there too. You see that? That's one sitting right there. They're pretty good sized ones. Now last time I was here, there was a baby one right here in this canal. Let's see if they, yep, there he, what? Yep, there he is. There he is, right there. Yep, there he is. If you want to give me $5, you can go out and pet the alligator. But it's got to be up front first. Because you might be coming out here with, you're going to send your husband? Let me go a little farther so make sure all you guys are able to take a picture of him if you'd like. How about that? Are you all getting to see him? Hello?
Yes.
There are times in your life you have to speak up. That's the main reason for it is because you have a deaf bus driver. Deaf tour guide. If they heard me say bus driver, they'd fire me. Okay, well, are we good?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It still stands. If you want to give me $5, you can go out and pet them.
No.
No?
No.
You know, I always tell the people out here that, you know, we keep track of the animals for anything's on the endangered species list, but we can never keep track of the alligators because every time we send somebody out there to count them, they never come back. So always some wise guy in the bus will come up and say, can I send my ex-wife out there to count them? And I say, she probably would like to have her ex-husband go out there and count them. I don't get in the middle of that. All right, now these are flame deflectors right here. You see that one where it looks like molasses coming down there? That is where the solid rocket booster flames hit. They're a lot hotter than up here where the orbital flames hit. That material on there is called fondue fire. Fondue, F-Y-R-E. Fondue fire. And that's supposed to be designed so it can handle up to 6,000 degrees of heat. Okay. Young man, you're going to have to tell me if there's anything coming that way. No. No? Geez, it took you way too long. No. Not now. It's just a Greyhound bus. Okay. Everybody still good?
Yes.
Okay, man, you better be good. You look at all the alligators you got to see. Holy cow. All right, so I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about this crawlerway, how they built it. What they did is they excavated all the fill dirt. Wherever you see the stone on both sides here, it's the size of an 8-lane highway. They excavated all the dirt out, down 7 feet. Then what they did is they compacted the bottom of it. Then they brought it up in 1-foot lifts all the way up to 7 feet. Then what they did is they capped it off with this stone. Now this stone has got a couple of features about it. It'll either roll or else it'll crush. So that's what they needed for their ride that they needed to have for the shuttle up on top of the crawler transporter. So also there is no iron in it, so it will not spark. Sparking's a big deal out here. Like yesterday and today, the day before and the day of a launch, there's what they call a no-dig day. You can't even put a shovel in the ground. Now, this material, this stone, is called Tennessee River Rock, but they get it out of Alabama. All right, so I know you're wondering, so when's the first liftoff coming off of that 39B over there? Well, that's going to be in 2018. 2018, they're going to have the first liftoff, and it's going to be an unmanned mission. Go up around the Earth several times, a translunar injection up around the moon, and then it's going to come back. And then they're going to check it all out, see how well it performed, and everything. And so if it performed really well, what they're going to do is go ahead and retrofit it for 4 astronauts to be able to be in there. So they're going to get that all squared away, and once they get it, they say it'll be about 2021 to 2023. depending on how well the Orion capsule performed. Once they got that, then they're going to go up, the astronauts are going to go up around the Earth several times, translunar injection to around the moon. Then they're going to do another translunar injection on up around an asteroid. And the reason they're doing that is because their next mission entails them to be sending what they call a robotic mission. This robotic mission that they're going to be having is a capsule with a robotic arm that's going to reach out there and grab a piece of the asteroid, and he's going to put it back in a capsule, and then they're going to bring it down here. They should have it down here no later than 2025. Once they do that and they examine it and everything, because they want to check it out, they say that there could be a day that a piece will break off an asteroid and come down here and do some major damage to the Earth. However, if they could find out what it's made out of or whatnot, they could probably figure out some way that they can detour it, because if you detour it out there a little bit, by the time it gets here, it's going to be a whole lot. So that way they can go ahead and it wouldn't hit or do any real damage here to the Earth. Also, all those experiments that they're doing is for one purpose and one purpose only. And that is because once that they lift off and they go to Mars, on their way to Mars, they're going to be gone for 2 years. 1 year up, 1 year back. And just remember, anything that Orion capsule encounters, it's going to have to be able to handle it. So that's why all the experiments and whatnot, because they have a time that they've set up, and that is in the 2030s, they'd like to have a man on Mars. Now, if you look at this crawler transporter, you look above that mobile launch platform, you see those pipes sticking up there, those slanted lids? Actually, they're like rainbirds. When I told you about that 400,000 gallons, that's where they comes out of, and it covers that mobile launch platform completely on liftoff. Also, I know you'd like to know how much that thing weighs. So let's talk about just the crawler transporter first, okay? You see the tracks on there, the cleats? Those cleats, each one of those cleats weighs 2,200 pounds. Okay? And there's 57 cleats on each track, and there's 8 sets of tracks in there. So that's 456 cleats, 456 cleats at 2,200 pounds apiece. So that is what helps it get that 6 million pounds that it weighs. Now that mobile launch platform is sitting on top of it. Well, before I tell you about that, I want to tell you that crawler transporter can lift 3 times its weight. So that puts it up to about 18 million pounds. That mobile launch platform that's sitting on it, that weighs 8 million pounds. However, they're not using those any longer. They're going to be using that one right out there. That one there is one solid piece all the way up 390 feet from the ground, and a total length of 375 feet off the top of the pedestals. What they're going to do is they're going to take the crawler transporter. Now they took one of the other, we'll be going by it here shortly, the other crawler transporter, they put it into VAB over here, and it was over here for 2 years, getting it refurbished and getting it set up so it could handle 22 million pounds, because by the time they put that mobile launcher on the crawler transporter, take it on in, the door number 3 is where all the doors are opened up, set it in there, and then he'll come back out, he'll leave it in there on 6 pedestals in there, and they'll go ahead and put the SLS on that with the Orion capsule. So they've estimated that to end up being roughly around 22 million pounds. So what they did over there at 39B, they core bored that tracks on both sides all the way down. They core bored it to make sure that it would hold up to that 22 million pounds. Now this building straight in front of us, this is with a black glass on it. That's called the LCC building. That's a launch control center. Anytime that they were going to launch from 39A or B, there would be like 100 engineers or 100 technicians inside there with the launch director, and they would go ahead and launch whatever from 39A or B. Once it cleared the tower, they would hand it off to Mission Control in Houston, And they would have it all the way until they come back and landed it again at the launch facility out here. And once they did that, they would hand it back over to LCC, and LCC would direct the shuttle back over here to the OPM buildings, which is the Orbital Processing Center, and they would get them ready. It would take them about 4 months to get them ready for launch again, because they replaced everything on them that had any kind of wearing or whatnot. Now you see this, see these VAB, those doors are 456 feet tall. They're the tallest in the world, and it takes 45 minutes to open one up all the way to the top. Whenever the solid rocket boosters and the SLS will be up on top there, and that's, you can see it right underneath there. Right there, there it is. 10 by 30 hole, 10 by 60 hole, and that's where all the flames will be coming out. Now right over here, just as we get past this, well, this thing right here, you see this gray, ugly looking thing right there? That's a set of scales, believe it or not. And whenever they are going to lift something of a significance inside the VAB, they take and fill that up with water to where they need to have it for the weight they need to lift. They'll bring that on there, and they'll test the cranes on the inside with that. They'll lift that before they lift anything of any significance, because they have to be certified. Now up underneath there, you see the big gaping openings underneath there? The blacker ones, that's where the solid rocket boosters flames would come out. The front one was where the orbital flames would come out. Now if you look right across over there, right there just below the Boeing sign, that's the other crawler transporter that they just got through refurbishing. Those buildings over there where it says Boeing on it, that's the OPM buildings. That is where they used to bring the shuttle in for refurbishing. You can actually look at the building. You see the cutout for the tail of the shuttle? There it is right in the middle of the building, on both of the buildings. Now Boeing has taken over those buildings. This building up here where that blue burial was on the front, that's where they're building their Starliner capsule. Their Starliner capsule is going to be part of them resupplying the International Space Station with astronauts and also different supplies that they may need, because they're kind of hand in hand with SpaceX taking care of that.
At 2:45. Viewing will be available at the visitors complex for the launch.
That's the first stage. All those parts and wires. Here's the second thing.
Passing out our Buggy over there. Space movement.
Oh yeah, you remember in the movie this thing dropped away?
Instrument unit. Yeah, I did see the main one. Just been on the Atlantis Road. There she is.
That's okay. We'll wait for them to move and then we'll get ready. Keep smiling, Ryan. Don't move.
We're going over to that way.
Silver thing is. Where is she?
Oh, is that the people that launched?
I think so, yeah.
They're talking about them. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Wait, Julie, and the heat combined